Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker with Charitable and Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it. And you know, when we have some breaking news about some of the things that are happening in our community, we always like to turn to the experts in the field when it comes to safety. One of the best ones to be able to do that is Captain Brennan Mathern with us from Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office, of course, their public information officer. Brennan, thank you for joining us here on the show.
Of course, man. I appreciate y'all having us on.
Absolutely. One of these things that we're starting to see continuing is some of these issues with fentanyl, but we had a recent overdose. Tell us a little bit about what happened.
Yeah, we actually had a couple of recent overdoses in the same night, and unsurprisingly, detectives found that they were related. We had a 15-year-old female that was found dead, unfortunately, in her home by her sister around 7:30 on the morning of October 27th. Just 3 hours prior to that, there was another overdose, this time of a 16-year-old boy. Deputies did respond to that one along with EMTs. Each gave a dose of Narcan. After a couple of doses, he was transported to the hospital. He did regain consciousness and is expected to make a full recovery. Unfortunately, the girl was not as fortunate in that particular instance. In both cases, investigators found a link between the two, and in both cases, ultimately, it led to an arrest warrant being developed for Blaine Terrebonne, an 18-year-old from the LaRose area. Moments after we released that information, later that same afternoon that the overdoses occurred, investigators were able to get Terrebonne into custody. So that did not take very long. As the investigation continued to unravel, they discovered two more individuals that were involved in this entire operation, those being 18-year-old Sergio Perez, as well as 21-year-old Anthony Francis. So now we have three arrests linked to these overdose cases. And I can tell you, Keith, that this investigation is continuing. More arrests are possible and additional charges are possible, even for those already arrested.
Well, I got to say, Brennan, that's some remarkable investigative work, and maybe the most timely that we've ever heard of in being able to figure out who it is that maybe was putting this out there and making sure that y'all were able to go and track them down, and to make three arrests that quickly. That's pretty phenomenal.
Our investigators were on top of their game. Our narcotics agents have put a foothold in the South Lafourche area, and it has made it very difficult for anyone to find narcotics. So they've come up with new solutions to those problems. Unfortunately, these pressed pills being one of them, and these are homemade pills. They are not pills that you would get on the market. So, it's part of this ongoing drug battle, Keith, that, narcotics agents can do their job, and we see the criticism, but they're doing their job, and they're doing a phenomenal job. But unfortunately, where there's a will, there's a way, and drugs are still finding a way onto the black market.
Yeah, and I know you've got those three that have been arrested, but for some of the others that may still be putting it out there, this particular pill had a very unique pattern that was very similar to another pill, right? That we want to let people know what to be aware of.
That's correct. In fact, we believe that the female that overdosed believed that she was taking a Percocet. The pills that we shared an image of that you can see on your screen now have the imprint of an M on one side along with a box around it. And, in some cases, there may be a number on the backside or just a line in the middle. Either way, they're imprinted to look like the name brand Percocet of oxycodone. This is what they think that they're taking. And while oxycodone is a powerful painkiller, imagine what that dosage of fentanyl would be. And unfortunately, we believe that that's what these are straight fentanyl pills, possibly a fentanyl mixture of some sort. Of course, we're not 100% sure because we don't have the pills in their possession. What I can tell you is what you're looking at with the picture of those pills is actually a screenshot from Snapchat. Unfortunately, that's where we've obtained these images, is Snapchat being used as a means of selling drugs because they believe that the image disappears after 24 hours. Obviously, there's always a way to find those images.
Sure. Now, I'm a little bit colorblind, so I apologize to ask the question. Is that a white pill, or is that maybe a light blue color pill? It's hard to tell in the picture.
Yeah, and depending on the screen, it may look different to different people. But these pills that we're looking at are blue, more on the lighter blue side than the darker blue side. But I've seen images of them across the country that are similar, that they come in a variety of colors. So I've seen purple, pink, yellow, but the ones specifically that we believe in our community are of the blue kind.
Light blue. Okay, very good. And so again, I want to kind of go back to what probably saved this other young man's life was Narcan being able to be provided and given at the scene. And it's so very valuable that we figured out a way to be able to offset some of the progressive nature of fentanyl when it's ingested.
Yeah, and I know that Narcan, especially deputies carrying Narcan, is somewhat of a controversial subject. For Sheriff Weber and us here at the Sheriff's Office in Lafourche, it's not controversial at all. Part of our job as first responders is to try to save lives whenever possible. And regardless of the circumstances, when we arrive on scene and someone is suffering from a potential opioid overdose, we are absolutely going to employ any means necessary. And that includes Narcan, which is a tool that we've added to our toolbox since 2017. Unfortunately, the number of saves that we've had each year has been over 30 in most cases. Which is good and bad. Obviously, it's good that we can help so many people, but it's a negative that we are seeing so many people suffer from these overdoses in our community.
Well, we appreciate the fact that y'all are fighting the good fight. Y'all are boots on the ground, really handling this. Thank you so much for the expedience that y'all handled this, and thank you for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Always happy to join y'all.
All right, very good. And again, Captain Brendan Mathern with the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office. And that will do it for this particular segment. Don't go anywhere. A lot more Bayou Time when we continue.